What?
Activity videos for longer than the girls, right?
Say again?
Like we're gonna share these videos. I know they're on YouTube, but we can have access to them for a while.
Yeah, for a few weeks after the training. For you guys, that's different. That's a different question, obviously.
Okay.
No, I start to speak of you. I think the time has come.
Oh, well, I gotta go to the bathroom. I have a horrible headache.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I was like, I need to hear.
Well, my intuition is I'm gonna do the first part, and then when it comes, and then I'll bring you on when I'm done, and then you can add to me, and then be part of the answers and questions part. Is that fine?
Yeah. let me go.
It's a little easier for you anyway that way. Yeah. A second. So let me do it properly later.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. I'm ready. It's good. We got to keep that door closed, though. That door should stay closed for the air conditioning. Or, okay, that's fine. But if we keep that door closed either way. No, I haven't seen it today. I haven't touched it today. Cool. Super. All right. So many things that could be taught in a training, but I think the time has come that we have to talk about food. Okay? Because that is always put later on in the training than I do it. I always do it earlier. But this is the first week, and I've already asked for your faith long enough, I think. And now it's time to back it up with what the heck am I saying and why? Okay. And then you can ask me all your questions and fire away. Okay.
Whatever you have to say, whatever your opinions are, beautiful to bring them out. We're giving you something that has tons of knowledge, and you probably have many explanations of the questions that you have. So don't be shy. You know, if you don't agree, say I don't agree. This is this. Because maybe he has an explanation to your disagreement. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of exchange here.
Some fireworks. Is that what we're looking for here? Well, they won't last long. But no, but that is usually how I do start this talk anyway, which would be to say, do not take anything that I have to say on faith. I'm not interested that you believe me or that you take my word for anything. If what I say it does not make sense to you, and you've studied and found something that contradicts what I say, then go on and do your thing. I have no problem with that. Okay, so this is fair, and that's the foundation of all of this. Carla, when I'm finished with my little part of the presentation, then Carla will step in and fill in any gaps and any of her experiences. And when we come into questions and answers, you'll be able to ask either one of us whatever you want. Okay? Cool. Let's do it. So this is the teacher training version of this talk, which means that you really have to hold on tight, because I can get rather blunt sometimes with a teacher training group, because you're a captive audience and you came here to learn, I think the most direct method of learning things, which is metaphors that are very clear and specific. I've started by saying already that you know, what I'm here to do now, even if it's teacher training, is not to change your life. If you want to eat one way or eat another way, that's fine. I'm here to bring out knowledge. Okay, I'm going to bring out information. Here to bring out really a way of what we can only call empowering. Okay, empowering. Knowledge is power. Okay, without knowledge, you are stuck to your own ignorance. With knowledge, you have a choice. Once you have the knowledge, you can do whatever you want with it. Use it or don't use it. You're a free person. Okay. My intention here is to bring knowledge, and then that's it. Use it or don't. Okay. Nobody could ever have eaten worse than me. Ever. It would be impossible, because I think I told you, or if I didn't tell you, I went 23 years of my life without eating a piece of fruit, without eating a vegetable, without eating a salad. 23 years. I was the person who would go to McDonald's and order a double cheeseburger plain, because I wanted to make sure there was no tomato and no piece of lettuce, nothing like that. Not even ketchup. I mean, that was a vegetable to me. You know, you want to know what I used to think? I used to eat Cheetos and pretend that they were carrots. That's pretty tough stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I'm eating healthy now with some carrots as I'm eating Cheetos. That was the closest I ever got to a vegetable was French fry. Okay, that's 23 years. So I don't come from a high horse starting to look down on anybody who eats a different way than me. I know how it is. I know how it was, and I also know how it could be. Okay, and that's kind of where we're going here. You know, the point of this talk is that the world out there, including us, because we're in the world out there, a lot of us, I mean, metaphorically speaking, are kind of falling off the cliff. The herd is falling off the cliff. Everyone's obese. Okay, everyone diabetes, cancer. I mean, I have a very personal issue now with cancer, because in my family, one of the youngest members of my family, 20 years old, got diagnosed with lymphoma and has just got finished chemotherapy, and they said that it's successful. So that's wonderful. And yet still she had lymphoma and she's 20 years old. Cancer is everywhere. And then the younger the kids is more. The younger kids are not healthier the way it should be. They're sicker because they're genetically weaker. So what do we see? We see everyone going to the hospital, everyone having relationships with their doctors. My father has a freaking pill box. You don't know those pill boxes? You know, Monday and 6 pills. This is normal. It's not normal. It's common. We're going to have to switch and understand what is the difference. Common is common, but it's not normal. Now, so the goal of us as healers, is to help people to prevent, number one, prevent manifestations of symptomologies. We can prevent it. It's better. So by giving information and say, hey, less of this and more of that, you could already help someone immeasurably. So that's the first goal. Learn enough information to help people, which isn't really hard because everyone is so far off the track. Now, my book, I didn't bring it in here now, but I'll just speak about it for 10 seconds. The Medellin Wellness Protocol, that I could talk about food all I want, but there's 5 things here, 5 factors. It's not just food. It's how do you, eat, number 1, but how do you exercise, number 2? How do you use your mind, number 3? How do you rest, number 4? And how do you not poison yourself every day with creams and sprays and perfumes and products? So the 5 things make up a constellation. You want to help someone, you better superimpose the 5 things that they have to start to align to, and don't just say it's just exercise. Oh, it's just yoga. It's not just yoga. Yoga is a great beginning because yoga gets you stronger physically, which then gives you stronger mentally, which you might now observing, which then allows you to make more intelligent decisions in the other dimensions. Yeah, but it's 5 things at least. Okay, but now we're focused today on food. Okay, so you want to help someone with food? It's not hard. You just have to get them to appreciate a few facts. And that's my goal today, to show you how to do it. You can copy how I'm doing it with you. The video will be there. And then this is also the curriculum of the School of Plant Nutrition, which is 18 hours of this, plus reading, plus homework, plus testing, and then an accreditation that I call a health educator teacher training, health educator. Okay, so if you want to help people with food, I would not suggest that this talk alone would be enough, but it might be. If you're really talented and really already knew a lot of stuff, then it would be enough. Okay, all right. So now, let's start then. I've told you my intention. Knowledge is power. I'm not here to judge, that's for sure. I would never judge what I already did. I'm not here to do anything except bring out information, shine some light. And if you like what I'm saying, it makes sense to you, fine. The other thing is that you guys are living this now. What I'm talking about, you're now living it. And that's kind of much more important than what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about now is to kind of, support, we could say, all of what I've asked you to do, so you understand the intellectual part. But the fact that you're doing it physically probably is teaching you as much as what I'm about to teach you. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's experience. Experience alone is not enough. You need knowledge, but knowledge alone is not enough. You need experience. Hopefully now you're going to have both after these few weeks, and you're going to be in a more powerful position so people can't fool you and trick you and tell you things about nutrition that sound good because it was said by Dr. X, Y, or Z. You're going to hopefully be able to stand on your own 2 feet, think critically, think for yourself, and see what's true and what's not true. That's my goal with that other course. That's my goal for any student. Think critically, think for yourself. Okay, don't take my word for it either. Okay, now let's start talking about meat first. Okay, then we'll get into dairy, then we'll get into protein or eggs, and then we'll get into protein, and we'll kind of at that point break into questions and answers, because that's really the only thing I know you guys want to talk about is protein, right? You're like, this is a great talk. Can we talk about the protein now? Yeah, that sounds really good, but where are we going to have protein? I know what's going on in your head. That's fine. We'll address protein in its context, in its place, and you'll realize that its context and its place is on the floor compared to anything that's important. Protein is the last thing you ever want to think about and the least important aspect of nutrition. And I will explain that to you, and it will make it clear. You have been so manipulated that it is unbelievable. Okay, by people that have no interest in your best interest, because why would they? What they're selling to you puts you in the hospital, and these are likely the same people that are selling you the pharmaceuticals that you're gonna have to buy once you go to the hospital. You see, isn't that convenient? Remember we talked about the CrossFit guy who's also a chiropractor? Is convenient, the McDonald's business owner who then owns the gastrointestinal clinic. You know, it's like, great, these are wonderful side, yeah, they might as well be in the same building. Sometimes they are, you know? So, but the same thing with the medical world and the lack of information about food and the lack of information about how to live. What I'm about to teach you should have been taught to you when you were 6 years old. It is ridiculous that it wasn't. Because all I'm going to tell you is how to eat. I mean, is it that like you had to wait this long to learn what kind of species you are and what that means and what kind of digestive anatomy you have? You didn't have to wait. We shouldn't have had to wait. I shouldn't have had to wait 24 years to learn that. But I did, because in the education systems that we grew up in mostly, they are very well, you know, controlled by people that have a lot of interest. You know that the nutritional books in the United States are written by the meat and dairy industries. Did you know that? They actually are written. The authors of those textbooks that you get in 7th grade on nutrition are written by the dairy industry. That's how it works in the United States. So this is conditioning, this is suggestion from the beginning. Get your milk for strong bones. Yeah, milk for strong bone cancer. So what we're dealing with here is a situation where nobody learned the most basic of information when we needed to, and then as a result, we come so far offline and off track that for us, what's normal or what's common is so abnormal. I mean, I don't mean to like be observing, but you know how in the pandemic, it was the African American community that got hit the hardest in a lot of the death rates? Well, I just drove through South Beach where I'm staying, and I saw a group of, whether they're tourists or they live in South Beach, but a group of maybe 8 African Americans, but they were all obese. It's like, and there's no fault. It's because of the socioeconomic relationship between lack of access to any food that has nutrition. And the only thing they have access to is 7-Eleven, where a banana costs $2.50, but French fries cost 50 cents. You see? So this is not okay. And this is the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing, which is an epidemic of people that are not healthy. You know, I went to the ear doctor yesterday to get my ears wax removed. You know, I haven't been in a doctor's office in forever. They took my blood pressure. I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what this is gonna say. Like, I have not let anyone take my blood pressure as long as I can remember. It's like, that's gonna make my blood pressure go up, taking my blood pressure, you know? So I took my freaking blood pressure. It was what, 118/70 something. It was what they wanted. Like, oh, that's a good blood pressure. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. You know. But anyway, it was a good experience to get my earwax removed. Now I can hear you guys. Yeah. Anyway, but they were amazed at all the answers to my questions, because you know how you go to a doctor and they're like, well, why are you on this medication, that medication? And I don't think they get too many people where the answer is just 0. Okay. No history, none. Okay. Anyway, bottom line is that let's start talking about meat. Okay. Meat, first you better define it, because a lot of people don't understand it. It's a lot of lack of clarity in the English language and even in the Spanish language about this subject. People say, I don't eat meat, I only eat fish. You know, like the word meat means beef, but it doesn't. This is the English language. And the word meat means a dead animal. It means a dead flesh. It can be anything. Fish is meat. Of course it is. Chicken is meat, obviously. These are dead animals, dead flesh, rotting flesh. So it is what it is. And all meat is the same. Okay. Whether you're eating a cow, a goat, a chicken, another human being, or a fish, if it's not a plant, it's an animal, a shrimp, you know, one of those things. If it's not a plant, it's an animal. And if it's a dead animal, it's rotting. Remember I told you about the spirit and the consciousness and the intelligence and the organization? And the moment that the animal dies, disorganization begins. You ever been to a fish market? Smells really good, right? Don't you want to like buy the incense or the spray? You're gonna get some fish market spray? No? Why not? Smells like rotten, putrefying. And the more, if you're a plant-based eater and you go into a fish market, it's even more sensitive. But even people that have not been plant-based eaters, they already recognize that, hey, this doesn't really smell very good either. Well, what they're smelling is rot. But wait a minute, I thought they're fresh fish. Well, there's no such thing as a fresh dead animal. You know, that's a very interesting use of language, but it certainly doesn't relate to the truth. And the thing is dead, and it's been dead for a long time. But even if it's only been dead for a moment, it already starts to rot that minute. Now, here's the thing. You're a human being. Y'all know what that means? You're a certain kind of a species. See, this is amazing, right? That you have to be told this, that we had to learn this at age 20, 30, 40 something, that you're called Homo sapien. Well, you knew that, didn't you? But I guess you seem to think that Homo sapien doesn't belong on the tree of nature. We just arrived here from some other planet and we just threw ourselves down, and the laws of nature just don't apply to us. We're not really an animal. Isn't that what we think? We just study everybody else, not us. Well, let me tell you, you're a primate. Y'all knew that one, right? I hope this is a review from 7th grade. At least they taught you this far. They didn't teach you to connect the dots from this information, but they taught you you're a primate. If you paid attention, it might have been 8th grade. And then do you know the difference between the monkey and the ape? So the two types of primates, right? Monkeys and apes, just to give you that little heads up. Monkeys and apes, what's the difference? What are you? A monkey or an ape? You're not a chimpanzee, but a chimpanzee is an example of an ape, right? But what's the difference between a monkey and an ape, and what are you? Those are my two questions. No one knows the answer to these. Isn't it amazing that we don't know these questions about ourselves? We're apes, good, we are apes. Because we stand up? No. No, any monkey could stand up. Yeah, no, it's not the opposable thumb. No, other animals have that too. It's not the brain, it's the tail. There it is. Monkeys have tails, apes do not have tails. So however long is your little tailbone, it's still not actually a tail, okay? And so you are a member of the great apes, family of great apes. You did not evolve from chimpanzees. Evolution never says anything like that. If you think that that's what evolution says, that you evolved from chimpanzees, it's because you just do not understand what evolution ever suggested in the first place. Evolution spoke or speaks, and I don't necessarily agree with it. But what evolution would be suggesting is the idea of a common ancestor, not that you evolved from chimpanzees. You didn't. Okay? You are a very close genetic relative, but you're not an evolutionary offspring. Okay? So don't think that that's how it worked, because it's not how it worked. Either way, chimpanzees, mountain gorilla, orangutan, gibbon, the white ones, the little ones, okay? These are the great apes, and there's you, okay? That's it. It's a very small family. Now, the thing about this family is, and if we were to open up all of one example of all, we open up their intestines and we look at their organ structure, guess what we're gonna see? The same thing. Basically, I mean, proportionally, the mountain gorilla would obviously be a bit bigger, but proportionally the same structure, intestines the same design, everything the same, proportions the same, mirror images of each other. Now, what does that mean? That means you have the same digestive system as the great apes do. Okay, period. That's not debatable. Okay, and we'll get into this whole idea of debate in a minute. Let's just do it now, and then I'll come back to this. Because I didn't used to teach this point, but it came to me as so clear that I had to start to explain it, because I can't escape it. You guys understand that there's a lot of opinions with nutrition, right? We can that's fair, right? You go into a bookstore and you go in a nutrition section, and you're just likely to get more confused, right? Because everyone's contradicting each other. Isn't that more or less what's going on? And what makes it more difficult is everyone's name is doctor. So how does MD this have that to say, but it's a pretty much in direct opposition to what MD this has to say. So I'm not MD anybody. How am I supposed to know what the heck is going on? Everyone has an opinion. Isn't that true? Okay. Well, here's what I would like to tell you. You're not allowed to have an opinion about this subject. Yeah, but I mean it like really. You know, for example, if we go out and go to Africa, for example, which I've lived for a couple of years, and we go on to a Land Cruiser and we get out into the whatever park we go into, and now all of a sudden we're seeing animals in nature. Okay, we could easily see a giraffe, likely if we're in East Africa, and we see a giraffe, and now we're looking at the giraffe, and we see that the giraffe is living its life in nature and it's eating what it's eating. But now you're in the car with me or someone else in the car, and they're saying, well, yeah, well, you know, you ask the person, what does giraffes eat? And they say, yeah, well, giraffes eat cats. That's what they say. Giraffes eat cats. That's their opinion. Well, but sir, you're not allowed to have an opinion about what a giraffe eats, because a giraffe eats what a giraffe eats based upon its anatomy, its structure, and its nature. No one is allowed to have an opinion about what an animal eats. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? You can't have an opinion about what dolphins eat. They eat what they eat because it's about anatomy. It's about physiology. It is what it is. You are who you are. There's nothing you can do to not be a primate. You cannot be an omnivore. You are not a pig. You are not a rat. You are not a bear. You are not a dog. And you are not a chicken. Those are the omnivore groups. You don't look like anything like that. You are a great ape. Okay? And that means something. Now, you have the same digestive structure, which means you eat the same thing. Now, did I make that up? That you eat the same thing if you have the same digestive structure? I did not. There's an entire science that people like spend their whole life studying. That's what it says. It's called comparative anatomy. Yeah. And that's how they know certain dinosaurs ate certain things. How would they know that? Where's the dinosaur? Well, the fossil of the digestive system has certain structural lines, and they say, oh, that structure is a structure that eats plants. So that was an herbivorous dinosaur. You understand how that's how science is. Comparative anatomy. So you have the same structure as them. That means what? More or less, you are designed to eat the same thing as them, more or less. What do they eat? Now, if you have questions, just write them down. Don't forget them. Okay. What do great apes eat, more or less? Now, please understand that I'm not talking theory here. I'm not talking about what I read in books. Y'all, we're in Miami, right? Thank God I can say that we're in Miami, because I get to say that y'all know about Monkey Jungle. Everyone's heard of Monkey Jungle? Who's been to Monkey Jungle? Cool. Well, I worked there for years. It's in Homestead. I don't know if they're still open anymore, but if they are, I gotta go down there. It's been a long time, but I used to work in Monkey Jungle, which is a massive primate center, tourist attraction. So when I tell you what primates eat, and I tell you what great apes eat, and I tell you what, well, mountain gorillas eat, I'm not telling you what I read that they eat. I'm telling you what they eat, what they're fed. Now, fed by who? Fed by who is in charge of the diet in a zoo? Who? You think the person that's paid $6 an hour is the one deciding what the mountain gorilla, when there's 300 mountain gorillas in the world, what it eats? Who do you think's in charge of that? The veterinarian in the zoo. Okay, of course, in nature, it's nature, but in a zoo, who is the one in charge of what does the animal eat? The diet of the animal is directed by the veterinarian in the zoo. The doctor decides the diet. I just so you know, in zoos, that's how they do it, because the doctor's in charge of the health of the animal. Isn't that true? These are endangered species a lot of times. You can't mess this up. You can't just let a mountain gorilla die. Are you kidding? Like, this is like more valuable, like it's incalculable. Okay, that kind of mistake is it's it's incomprehensible. So they don't do it. They maintain these animals in perfect health. How? Through their diet. And the veterinarians prescribe what these animals eat based upon nature, of course, right? So now this is the part where I just always sit stunned, even in myself, even though I've said this many times, I still don't understand that we call ourselves intelligent species, right? We think we're the intelligent ones. That's what we think. And yet we're the ones who can use our intelligence so precise, so effectively to analyze what a certain animal species is, and then to know what it eats in nature, and then to feed it accordingly because you want to maintain its health. We can do that for the animals in the zoo all day long, but we can't do that for our children. We don't do that for ourselves. The doctor in our life never, ever talks to you about food. Simply talks, God bless you, simply talks to you about what kind of pharmaceutical can be given to manage your symptomology. Okay, so we are in a very inverted situation here where the medical world where we live, they get more money the more sick you are. Do you understand that? They get money when you see them. You see them when you're sick. Do you think they have an interest in your health? How would they? You think that there's an oncologist on the earth that wants to cure cancer? Maybe. There's a few, but that would be the minority because they like cancer. Cancer pays their bills. Cancer pays their Lexus. Cancer pays their house. They're not got no problem with cancer. Okay? That's why the National Cancer, if you want to donate money, you got to be kidding. To them, the National Cancer Society, where they have a benefit and serve French fries and pork chops. Them. Yeah, I'm gonna support them. The Breast Cancer Society, yeah, right. The same story. Let's have a breast cancer event. Let's all wear pink. Let's wear ribbons, and then let's serve dairy food. Don't you choke on the hypocrisy? I do. And then they want your money so they can hurt other people. And you understand those organizations are in it for themselves. That's one big bureaucracy, and they don't care about the cause. Because if they cared about the cause, they'd be interested in the source. What is the real cause? Which they're not interested in. They just want to do more research, find more medications. Forget about healing people, preventing it. Everything is backwards, and we're the ones getting chewed up as a result. Our families, we're the ones paying the price for everyone else. Few people making a lot of money, and a lot of people getting a lot of sick, and a lot of death that's early. None of it is acceptable. A lot of it's preventable. A lot of it's preventable. And for me, prevention is 100 times better than cure. Screw cure. Sure, we need cure, we need resolution. All right, we can dig deep. All right, we can do what we got to do. We can go to fruit. We can do it. We can heal. But it's a lot better to not have to do it. Theoretically, prevention is better. No, let's keep going. The first thing I've just said is you have an anatomical structure, the small intestines of which are 12 times the length of your torso. That's the same ratio as you see in the mountain gorillas and all the other ones. It's a small intestinal system designed for fiber. You ever heard of that? Fiber, right? You need fiber for regularity. That's a common one, right? Do you know why? Well, the intestines work through a system called peristalsis, which is like a snake's muscular movement. But the peristaltic muscular movement needs something to grab. Otherwise, the stuff doesn't move through the system. So the fiber is what it grabs. Okay, the fiber is what's being grabbed. You don't have that, you have nothing moving through the system. But you know what? Guess what? Fruit has fiber, vegetables have fiber, and meat and dairy and eggs have zero fiber, zero. Now you eat something that has zero fiber, and you put in a system that's designed for it. It's not likely to move. Now, I told you it was already putrefying before you ate it, okay? Because you're not a carnivore and you're not an omnivore, and you're not made for this. It was already putrefying before you ate it. Now it's stuck. So let's say I took this jar and I had the cover there. That's cool. So let's just fill it up with some dead flesh, right? Some bloody eyeballs and some muscle meat and some things. Little sugar. I'm sure we ate dessert that day. Yeah. No, we close that all up. Little water. Close that up. And it's hot enough out here in August. So let's just leave this out in the sun then for the next 6 weeks. Okay. Who wants to be the first one to go into a small closet with no windows and open this up and say, why not? Because that's the process called putrefaction. That's a process that creates a lot of poisonous, we could say, byproducts. But what I just described there is what's going on in here. Because this is a warm, wet, closed environment that I just described, and you are a warm, wet, closed environment. Now, when you put something that's not designed in there and it putrefies and it rots, you could have symptomology that some people consider to be rather small. That's, of course, small symptomology, bad breath, small symptomology, bad smell, protein smells different directions, acne, things, yeah, little superficial stuff. But then, keep going with that. You see, this is acid. This is acid stuff. Putrefaction is acidic, and acid irritates, and irritates inflames, and inflammation is how you begin to damage the cell, and the damaged cell is called cancer. And that's the deeper progression that we are not interested in. So it's just a function of you're a primate. Eat like one. You're not an omnivore, even if you thought you were one. Now, can you eat omnivorously and survive? Yes, sure. You can survive. That doesn't make you an omnivore. It just means that you're living suboptimally and you're getting by, and it's fine, and it is what it is. But it's not, you're not living according to your biology, so you're likely not to be experiencing the highest level of your physiology. Now, guys, let me just be clear. Vegan does not mean healthy. Okay? Go vegan, go vegan, go vegan. It doesn't mean healthy. It means conscious. You want to be healthy, that's a certain way of eating plant-based, which is heavy, heavy, heavy on the fruit. And I mean almost as much fruit as you could possibly consume. Salads are optional. You are not an herbivore either, guys. I mean, you're not only are you not a cat or a bear or a pig, in case I had to tell you that, in case I also have to tell you that, you're not a horse, you're not a cow, and you do not have multiple stomachs. You are not made to eat vegetables. Can you enjoy a nice salad? Of course you can enjoy a nice salad. Wonderful salad, as long as it has avocado on it. You know what I'm saying? Because avocado is a fruit, okay? But generally speaking, if you want the highest level of health inside the context of eating plant-based, you want to eat as much fruit as you possibly can, because you are a primate and fruit is your #1 food. So it's just basically a thermometer. The more fruit you eat, likely the more healthy you're going to be. And of course, fruit does not have too much sugar, because anyone who says that doesn't understand what sugar is. Okay, and we can talk about that when I'm ready. Now I'll just continue with meat. Because physiologically, it's not just your intestines that demonstrate God's will or nature's will or evidence that shows you're supposed to eat one way, but not another way. Because there's evidence here. It's guys, there's evidence. Nature is telling us, gotta just open your eyes. Well, what's another evidence? Another evidence is if you were born to be a killer, you were born to be a killer, you'd have the tools to kill. And let me tell you, if what I tell you, you can think of any exceptions in nature, please let me know. But I know you can't, because in these examples, there are no exceptions. If you are born to kill another animal on this planet, God or nature, whatever you want to call it, gave you the tools to kill. You understand what I mean? If you're a lion, you were born with the strength to kill. You didn't have to buy it from Walmart. The eagle didn't have to buy its talons. Anyone born with a shotgun that you know about? Hunting rifle? Born with one of them? Born with a fishing pole? I hope not, for the mother's sake. That would have been a tough operation. And then I had to call in specialists for that one, you know. No, you're not born with any of that. Fishing nets? No, you're not born with nothing. Because you're born to climb trees and eat fruit. Okay? Evidence. You think you could kill a buffalo? You can kill a cow? Has anyone ever seen a cow? I mean, you're all living in the city. So come to Colombia and you'll see my neighbor's cows. Okay? Get back into the real world. But you'll see a cow is a big animal. You couldn't kill one ever. Even if I let all of you try and I took away your pens and your knives, anything that humans made, I give you your hands and your teeth. And I let 27 of you try to kill a buffalo. There's just going to be 27 dead girls. And even if they were all guys, it would be 27 dead guys. Nobody could do that. Because you're not a lion. You're not a group of wild dogs. You weren't born for that. Now, could you kill a tuna fish? Do you think you could kill a tuna fish with your hands? Don't people eat a lot of tuna fish? You think you could get one? You know, they're the size of a Volkswagen truck, right? You know, they swim 75 miles an hour, right? You know, they're warm-blooded, right? Yeah. Well, how are you going to get one of them? They're monsters. You couldn't kill any of these fish that you eat. You couldn't even kill a chicken. Okay? Because chickens have wings. You ever heard of them? So there he goes, and there you stay. Okay? You just don't have what it takes. And it's just evidence. It's evidence that God didn't design for you to be a killer, because if he designed for you to be a killer, he'd give you killing tools and weapons the way every single animal in nature that kills for its living has, and you don't have. Whoa, interesting. It's evidence. You can call it proof if you want. I might use the word proof, but let's just say evidence to keep your mind open. You know what I mean? All right, next thing, guess what? It's not just physiologically that you would have been endowed if you were a killer. There's another dimension called psychologically. Anyone ever seen a baby chicken before? You ever seen baby chickens? The yellow ones? And they oftentimes walk in a train, like following each other, squeaking and following the mother. You know what I'm talking about? Can y'all visualize that? Great. Now, was it your first thought upon visualizing that to smash the chicken, break its neck, break its head with your teeth, and squeeze those guts into your mouth? Was that your first thought when I asked you to visualize a baby chicken? Or did you think about cute? Did you think cute? You didn't think about whack a chicken? Bam, 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 bam. No? You didn't think about that might be good dinner? You're not an omnivore. You're not a carnivore on Earth. On Earth. Other planet, you might be from another planet. Maybe they have other kinds of relationships to psychology and nature. But here on Earth, if you didn't think about immediately eating that, you are not designed to eat it. Because what do you think your cat would think? If you put your cat in front of those chickens, what do you think would happen? And that's a domesticated animal that's not even that attuned to nature, but it's still so, cats are not really domestic. They just got smaller. Okay. Even your dog would chase it. They know but any animal in nature, you can forget it. That is lunch. Because I told you that the brain is hardware, but the mind is software. And you have a program, like we could call it an operating system of human. You have a human operating system, and dogs have a dog operating system, and cats have their, right? They have their way of seeing the world, and you have your way of seeing the world. And there's not a coincidence between that and what you are supposed to live with and live, because it's not, like I said, if you go to a petting zoo, you ever been to a petting zoo before? Like a place where they have baby farm animals for kids to touch? Yeah, it'd be like in the cities where kids never see animals. Then once in a while, they used to have, I don't know when they have them anymore, but you all know what I'm talking about? These little kids and they're petting the baby animals. Well, you don't see the parents teaching the kids to strangle the goat. Here, let's have lunch. Strangle that goat, son. Strangle it. Let's eat it for lunch. You don't see that because that's not our nature. Our nature is, hey, this is a beautiful animal. Hey, let's be kind. You see that? Why? Psychologically, you're not a natural born killer. You don't want to kill everything you see. You don't target things like that. You don't, like a bird flies by, you're not thinking about vectors and speeds and jumping calculuses. You're not thinking about how you can capture it. You're thinking, oh my God, that's beautiful. I mean, most of us, appreciate that. Okay. So it's not a coincidence. You are who you are. You have been given an operating system to be operating a certain way. If you were designed to kill, you would have a different system. You could never think anything was cute. It would just be lunch. Okay. Now here's another point, and I'll make this one fast. Okay. But I think it's really relevant because a lot of people are parents. You might appreciate this. But if you're a baby lion, your mother will likely bring a half dead animal and say, here, torture this thing and try to kill it. You know what I'm saying? Like, here, practice. Because if you're an adolescent lion, you've got a couple of months left and you either learn this or you're going to die. Understand that? You learn how to kill these animals or you will not survive. We as an adult lions must teach you as baby lions to kill. So go ahead and play with this rabbit and torture it and do whatever you want, right? Of course. But what about humans? Do you know what happens to human children that are seen torturing animals? Systematically torturing animals? Yeah, they are immediately identified. Red flag. Red, watch out. This kid could be a psychopath. Because he's out in the corner and he's torturing animals and he's hurting animals, he's killing animals. That is a behavior in human beings that is so far anti-nature that everybody red flags that. But do you understand that if we were designed to eat other animals, that behavior would be encouraged? Do you get that? Is that a big uh-huh? It should be. These are all just evidences. Take it or leave it. That's psychological. You are who you are. Now let's get to the real important part. The real important part for me has got nothing to do with that stuff. I don't eat the way I eat try to live forever. You think I'm going to live forever? Would that be a goal worthy of trying to accomplish? I'm going to live forever. I'm going to eat perfectly. I live forever. Good luck. I don't eat the way that I eat because I understand the psychology of the subject. That's pretty simple. I eat the way that I eat for spiritual reasons. Okay, for all the things I was saying yesterday. So I'm really not going to have to repeat myself too much. I can just really say it once. Okay, that for me, this is simply about seeing God everywhere, including every single living being. And that is what I've already explained yesterday. This is spiritual stuff. But guess what? It's not just about the animal. It's not just about not torturing. It's not just about not suffering. It's also about you. You want to meditate deeply. You want to experience higher levels of consciousness. It helps to not have terrified energy circulating in your body, because when an animal dies, it is so scared that it is beyond words. All mammals have the same nervous system. And if you think that fish don't feel pain, I just can't believe you could be that gullible, that you could believe something like that. That's like, they said that. Have you ever heard that line before? Oh, fish are different. Fish, they don't have the same kind of nervous system. Really? You ever seen a fish out of water? You think it's having fun? Do you think suffocation's fun? You want to drown real quick? Just drown you? Bit fun, right? So that is to me very simple. But if you want to sit in meditation, you want to sit still and you want to feel higher levels of consciousness, it doesn't help to have that energy, because you are what you eat. And it's not just that you are what you eat physically. You are what you eat energetically. Okay, you just simply are what you eat. Psychologically, it affects your mind as well, of course, but so this is that. Okay, now if there were an alien species that was hovering over the planet Earth for the last 100 years, observing us, they're going to go back and report their findings to their, their alien intelligent culture back there. And they're going to observe Earth. They've been observing us for 100 years. Here's what they're going to say. They say, wow, this is a really interesting place, a lot of water on that planet. And it seems like every living creature there understands what's going on and lives in relative balance. But then there's this one that doesn't know how to eat. Yeah, it is very much out of the whack of the balance. It's creating a lot of pain and suffering for all the other animals. And then more interestingly enough, what it's doing is causing itself to get sick. You see that? So if I said to you, do you want to play a game? And there's 3 possible outcomes to this game. Okay. The first outcome is you could lose the game. The second possible outcome is you could lose the game. The last possible outcome here is you could lose the game. You want to play? Play that game? Yeah, this is the game of eating animal foods where the planet loses so big, anyone who eats seafood could care less about anything. Anyone who eats any animal, because this is just the might of the world. But the planet loses, okay? You know how much energy and food is being used to feed animals? You know how much land is being dedicated that could grow food for humans, and they're just throwing it away to animals just so you could get sick? So the planet loses, you lose, and the animal loses its life. And that life that it's losing was not fun. Okay, we're talking about the types of deaths that if you ever saw it even happen once, you would never, ever forgive yourself for being a part of that. I mean, you just can't believe it. I don't watch those videos. I don't watch those slaughterhouse videos. But if you someone who still eats meat and doesn't know what the hell's going on, then go ahead and just watch one. Try to see an animal die like that, and tell me you can deal with that. So this is why I told you, for me, it's a spiritual thing. Okay, I don't like suffering. It's not even about the death, everyone. Everything has to die. It's not even about the death. It's actually just about the suffering. Okay, just so really technical about it. It's the suffering that is inexcusable. Okay, now, so that's mostly about meat. Okay, there's a lot of reasons. Okay, you can really stack them on top of each other as to what I consider to be different evidences from different dimensions of your existence, from the physiologicals to the psychologicals to the spiritual. They all agree. I mean, the Bible, it's not just yoga. It's not just ahimsa. It is ahimsa. You know the Bible. You all know the Bible? Anyone ever read the 10 Commandments? So what are they? I mean, not all of them by heart, but what's the commandment that I'm about to speak about? Which one is it? Don't kill what? Oh, it doesn't say thou shalt not kill people? Oh, it doesn't say that, but that's how it's been interpreted. And that's okay with you? Yeah, is that okay with you, that the word of God isn't what matters? It's the word of some little human being who has his own addictions and his own interests and his own issues? That's the word you want to listen to? Forget it. Even though right in front of your face, he contradicts the word of God and adds his own interpretation. What the heck? Where does that come from? Small. This is why level of consciousness, smaller and smaller and smaller. Ain't gonna help anybody. Thou shalt not kill, period. There's no exceptions to that. And guess what Patanjali says? When he says ahimsa, he says something after that. He says there are no, that's the next sutra. He says there are no exceptions ever to that rule. The only exception I give is if it's a parasite inside my body, then it has to die. Okay? Like that thing that almost killed me, Sorry, I don't tolerate parasites, okay? But anything else, even a cockroach, I won't kill it if I don't have to. Why kill it? It's just God trying to say, a cockroach doesn't know it's a cockroach. A snake doesn't know it's a snake. These animals don't know what you think they are. They're just God living their operating system, doing their best to survive. And they're divine because they are intelligence expressed. So this is that. Anyway, the alien who observes us and observes that we are doing this, and then all of a sudden we're the ones getting sick, and it makes the report and says, oh, we got it, the report's done. There's a species on the planet, they're called humans, and we have two theories on these guys. Number one, they are the stupidest. No, because that is an explanation. They are eating something that they're not designed to eat, and it's putting them in the hospital and making them permanently sick. That is stupid. I mean, I don't care what you want to call it. So low intelligence. Or they're insane. There's two explanations for what we're doing. Okay, so however you want to look at it, it doesn't make sense. And the world is not being improved by everyone. And people are figuring it out now. You know, there's a lot of movies now on Netflix, right? Y'all seen Game Changers? Who's seen Game Changers? Okay, so it could be a homework for the next couple of weeks. It's on Netflix. Game Changers. It's a really wonderful movie about athletics, about vegan super athletes. Okay, and so you get to really see like that myth about, oh, but protein. You know what you learn on that movie? That the strongest man in the world is vegan. The strongest man in the world is vegan. Okay, and he said that when he went vegan, he gained weight and gained muscle mass. Don't take my word for it. Take the guy who could lift 1,200 pounds. Okay, like a gorilla, because gorillas, that's how they eat. Gorillas don't have to eat meat, eat other animals. Now, let's talk about protein. Yeah? Oh, no, let's talk about dairy. I have some very, very, very difficult things to tell you about dairy. Okay? I will tell you the very simple things first. Just the health things, the things that are so damn obvious, everyone knows it. And then I'll tell you my opinion. And you're all women here, so you're going to get it. You're going to get what I think. And I'm not impressed. Now, let's get it simple, okay? Dairy has casein. Just simple. Casein, you know what that is? That's a protein. The protein inside of dairy is called casein, so with a C. And casein is the #1 growth promoter of tumors that has ever been discovered. It is the most relevant factor in growing tumors that's ever been studied. It is casein. So I'm not saying that if you drink milk or eat cheese that you will get tumors. I'm simply saying if you wanted to grow tumors, a really, really great way to do it would be to take casein. It's with a C, A-S-E-I-N. Milk obviously causes osteoporosis. It's the cause of osteoporosis, not the cure. It's the cause. Of course it is. There's no osteoporosis in any culture where there's not dairy consumed by the adults of the culture. There's no osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is directly associated to dairy consumption. Okay? I mean, literally, the graph goes like this. Countries with the most dairy consumption go up. Countries with the highest rate of osteoporosis go up. They track like you're watching the same animal move in the same direction. Why? Because when you take dairy food, you acidify your body. Dairy is an acidifying presence in the body after digestion, not before. And when you acidify your body, you're going to die, or you are going to have to neutralize your blood pH, or you're going to die. Because if you take your blood too acidic, you will not live. But you happen to have a large storehouse of alkaline minerals ready to counteract the acid that you just drank or ate. Those alkaline minerals are called calcium and magnesium. And you have them in your bones and you have them in your vessels. And there they go, out to the blood. to neutralize your dairy food. And there goes your density of your bones, and there goes your varicose veins and all the issues with your vessels. Okay, so dairy causes osteoporosis. It's not the cure. That's criminal stuff. The way the doctors and the marketers are positioning dairy food as a solution, it's criminal. It actually is. They should be taken to prison. Dairy is, of course, has lactose. Well, you don't have lactose. You don't have lactase. You don't have the enzyme because you're an adult. Let's start with that real quick. You're an adult. You're a mammal. That means something. You know what it means? It means several things. It means you're warm-blooded. It means you give birth to live offspring. It means that you have hair, some of you, more than others. It means that you lactate your child, and as a result of what that means, it means that your child will then be weaned. How many of you have children? A bunch of you, right? And some of you might have breastfed, I don't know, but if you did breastfeed and your child is older than 6 or 7 years old by now, what do you think about the idea of letting them back on board? What if your kid is 12 or 15? What do you think about that? What if your kid's 30? Think you could let him jump back on? What if you have a baby, a newborn baby? So you're only using your left nipple, but your son's calling and he's like, Mom, but your right nipple's free. What do you think about that? Sound good? How come that sounds strange to you? Because would you say that that's what might be called a violation of nature? That kind of a thing, that's something that we would never see that in nature, ever. An adult of a species going back to suckle the mother after adulthood. I mean, what if you went to your mom, if she was alive, and you have her cell phone, of course, and we're all here in our 20s, 30s, and 40s and so forth, and we can, imagine if we're lucky enough and our mother's around, and say, Mom, I'm coming home. Your mom might say, sure, honey, but I won't be here when you get home. No thanks, because it's an incredible violation of nature. But what is even more violation of nature? Crossing the species barrier. So now not only are you going to be an adult who is still on a nipple, which is, it's literally impossible. Okay. You want to know how many times you've seen that in nature? How many times? 0. You're adults. The definition of an adult is an organism that does not take dairy food. That is the definition of you. What's even more bizarre, and that's the best word, is you're going to cross and now you're going to suckle off of a bovine that weighs 2,000 pounds, has hoofs, and a very small brain. And you want to drink the milk designed for small cows because that's what milk is designed for. All right, now let's get into that. All right, so we've got casein, we've got lactose, we've got osteoporosis. Okay, and we've got the fact that it's the most bizarre, unnatural thing on earth, that it really can't get any more odd than that. I mean, what? You want to eat you want about to have your food and then someone pours breast milk all over your food? Here, enjoy. That's what that is. Now, rough stuff, but that's what we're doing. That's the feta cheese on your salad. The goat's breast milk. Now, of course, I'm serious. Now, here's the thing, because now we're gonna come off the humor, okay? Because honestly, this shit's not even funny. And with you ladies, it's just so hard to understand some of you sometimes. And excuse me, but it is my opinions, and my opinions are brutal, okay? And I apologize in advance, but they are what they are, okay? And I have some really severe viewpoints, and I'll tell you what they are. And I apologize again in advance. But one of my personal views is that I feel like female beings on Earth, have rights. I know, I'm sorry to say it. That's already like way out of bounds, huh, girls? Couldn't say that. Yeah, I just have this strange opinion that women, females, not just women, human beings, but female beings, I think they have a right not to be raped. So again, heavy stuff. I shouldn't have that opinion, I'm sure. So you don't have that one. I think that female beings have a right not to have their babies stolen. I think female beings have a rights not to have their babies murdered. Is that too much to say? Those rights, maybe they're not universal, maybe they're just for you. But other female beings on the earth, that's not for them. Is that how it goes? Is that how it goes, dairy users, females? Because see, why I say females and why I don't say men? Because men are idiots and men are unconscious, and you cannot have any expectations from men, because if you did, you would be disappointed. But y'all's women, I'd have thought better of you. See, I'd have thought that if you had given birth, you could relate to what it is like to have given birth, that you would never be able to participate in anything where other females are being incarcerated, talking about jail, tortured, raped systematically, because that's what the impregnation is. That's a metal thing. Then baby's born within 3 days or less, the baby is stolen. And you go to those dairy zones and all you hear is mothers crying. Where is my baby? That's all they're doing. They're crying. You never go there, so you don't know. And then the babies, of course, are murdered, and that's called veal, because we as human beings have a wonderful way of making gourmet food into or from tortured animals. We really love to do that. That's the more tortured the animal, the more gourmet. That's veal, baby animals, which is, of course, the other side of the dairy industry. So you think that milk and cheese is vegetarian, you don't understand anything. There's nothing vegetarian about it. Neither are eggs vegetarian. Not even close. We'll get to eggs in a minute. Not even close. So if you can allow that as a female, then I don't understand. I mean, well, how else would I want to say it? What's wrong with you? Like, how can you do that? How can you let that happen? That's just my opinion. I'm sorry, it is what it is. The dairy thing, I don't take a joke. That's not funny. That's not funny. That's torture. That's torture. That's veal. And that's not vegetarian conversation. Okay. So forgetting about your health reasons, if you want to talk about health, we can talk about health all day long. Dairy has no place in your body, not any one place. Never, never. Because you're an adult, God damn it. Figure it out. There can never be an excuse for dairy. Never. Anyone who says it is always wrong. Always. Because you're an adult. Ayurveda says it, they're wrong. Because you're an adult. Figure it out. You cannot violate the laws of nature no matter what. Just because it's from India doesn't make it true. It has to be true to be true. And you're an adult and you're a mammal, and that means something, and it always will. And what it means firstly is you got weaned, so stay that way. Okay? Not just for your benefit, but for everyone's benefit. Okay? So as I said, the dairy thing is pretty severe, but to me, it's just not a conversation. It's not even a debate. It's never. Okay? Let me just tell you this about the whole food thing. Whether you're going on a plant-based path or not, or whether you're doing X or raw food or not, or whether you're doing one thing or not, let me just tell you that 100% is easy. And 99% is a bitch. You know what that means? That means if you are going to do it, just do it. Do it 100%. you're going to understand that dairy is not ideal, then dairy is not ideal. That's it. It's finished. It's 100% finished. It's not 99. No, oh, I get out, get my coffee because I'm at a restaurant with my friends. Who gives a shit? What the hell does that have to do with the female animal that just got tortured? What was one thing I have to do with what you forgot? Oh, you got exceptions to that? Oh, it's okay? Why? How? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Short memories, lack of imagination, lack of interest, or just the society. I don't, no one's no blame. I drank, ate cheese all my life. Of course I did. I didn't know any better. But once you do start to know better, now it starts to matter. Okay. Before, there's no judgment. There's no self-criticism of what you ate before today. Who cares? The past has no relevance. Only thing that matters is today. The future doesn't have any relevance either. Just today. Okay? Just so you understand that. And as far as how fast your body cleans itself, it cleans itself very fast. I'll take your question. It's okay. Okay. No. The adults are not. Yeah, the adults are not. No, of course not. Yeah, that was what I was saying about lactose and lactase, and that's the enzyme that you have it when you're a really baby, but you don't have it as an adult. All right, so that's dairy. Clear enough? Was there a question? It's fine. Go ahead. Sure, I'll do it. But I'll do it when I'm done. Okay. I'm almost ready to get to that, but I got to talk about protein first. Okay, and then I'll go into that for the questions part. All right, so that's dairy and eggs, guys. Look, eggs are like meat. Okay, eggs are about to become a chicken. So the same issues that meat has from far as saturated fats, things that clog up your arteries, things that make you not have good circulation, eggs have that too. Okay. Now, of course, there's exceptions to everything in the sense that if you were starving to death and you hadn't eaten in a long time, someone offers you some eggs, eat them. Eat them, eat them eggs. I'll eat them with you, and we'll eat the fish too. If you're starving to death, you got to do what you got to do. Starving to death. You're stuck on a boat out to sea, or, you're Bear Grylls and, man versus nature, and they threw you out of a helicopter and right like that. Fine. Other than that, no. Eggs. If you've ever seen the industries that make eggs, only the female chickens are valuable. Only female chickens lay eggs. Nobody wants a rooster. Okay, so as the chickens are being born, they're getting sorted, and they're being born by the thousands every day. They're getting sorted, and the female chickens their beaks are burned right away, flattened with an iron thing so that they don't peck each other to death. And then they're put in prison for the rest of their life until they're slaughtered. Okay, where they're just going to get eggs and eggs and eggs and eggs and brutal and scared to death, keep laying eggs. Okay, whereas the males are literally thrown in the garbage can to die a very slow. They're not even killed first. They're just thrown away. There's all kinds of videos on this that you can see it. Okay, so the egg industry is not a vegetarian industry at all. So many birds are slaughtered to produce eggs, and eggs are another torturing of females. Again, another female member of the species getting tortured. Oh, was that a coincidence? Why torture all these females? How about leave them alone? You don't need eggs. Eggs are not your food unless you're dying, and then they're wonderful food. So that's my whole position on eggs. Yeah. The happy chicken. What about the happy chicken? Yeah. Well, you want to get me started with kosher? Yeah. I'm Jewish too. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they say. Yeah. Yeah. No, this is the problem. This is the, there is absolutely no logic to these rules. But even more, it's not acceptable to put a spiritual label on a dead animal. So this is where I have a big problem with Orthodox types of Judaism and the idea of kosher meat. You got to be kidding me. That is what's called an oxymoron. Those are impossible things. They cannot be put together. Okay, kosher meat, what? Huh? Talk about a compromise. Talk about the most ridiculous thing that's ever been created. I mean, I don't have any respect for a rabbi if they're not a plant-based rabbi. Same like any other spiritual teacher. You got to respect life. That's my little world. I'm sorry. Okay. But, the happy chicken thing has no relationship to your biological health. Okay. So maybe the chicken's happy. It's still not necessarily happy when you steal its egg and it's going back and looking for it. But these are chickens that are genetically bred just simply to lay eggs. They're not natural creatures. They just lay eggs for fun. They just keep laying eggs because they're bred that way. So, but that still does not make the egg a biologically intelligent thing for you as a human being. And yeah, you're not an omnivore for that. Now you could eat eggs once in a while if you had to, and that is fine. That is what it is, but it's not part of our dietary. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it matters that the chickens are happy or not. Okay. But of course, the non-happy chicken is a whole nother conversation because now you're dealing with a real torture industry. Yeah. But yeah, these chickens that are born to make eggs are crazy. All they do is sit there and lay eggs all day long. So they're just humans. They're just like we genetically modified everything that we produce, we genetically modified the chickens. So better than that, they don't exist. Okay, let them live their life and don't reproduce them. Okay. All right. Let's talk about protein. The main conversation. How am I doing on time? It's fine. No problem. We'll get through it. We're almost done. How about what? A vitamin B12, sure. Vitamin B12 is a very important nutrient that is produced by certain microorganisms on Earth. It is not produced by animals. It's produced by bacteria. Girls, ready? Vitamin B12 is not produced by animals. It's produced by bacteria. Normally, it would have been the bacteria in your intestinal system, your probiotics, your good bacteria that you would normally have a big, almost 2 kilos of a biome of cells, almost like a little alien living inside of you, because it ain't you. And that would normally produce your B12. Now, taking a B12 supplement is fine, or this supplement, this whole food, this blue-green algae that we use also has vitamin B12, the real thing. It's called E3 Live. E3 Live. Yeah, we'll share the link. Yeah, we'll share a link with you. I'll even put it on the computer sometime. And I've been using it for a long time. This is what Carla was talking about when she first met me all those years ago, and we were using it for a lot of different beneficial reasons. I always use it. I have it in my bag right now. Okay, so that has vitamin B12, but otherwise it's fine to take a B12 supplement. It's not going to hurt you. Whether it's necessary or not is totally debatable. I could debate it one way or the other way. So I just say play it safe. And if you don't have E3 Live and then it's not a problem, take a B12 supplement. Okay, like I said, I don't know that you need it. I have one teacher that says you do and one teacher that says you don't. So I'm kind of like up in the air on that. Protein, shall we? So impressive how protein has convinced, or the protein industry has convinced the entire world that it's a good thing. I mean, you really can't imagine a better marketing campaign that could fool that many people into believing something that's that false. The idea that protein is good for you, The idea that you want to eat protein, the idea that something that has a lot of protein is a good thing, that idea is so false that it couldn't be more off. It couldn't be more, and it also couldn't be more dangerous because protein is the problem, it's not the solution. And protein is not a nutrient. Protein is the result of nutrition. Anyone who tells you you need to eat protein doesn't understand nutrition at all. Because what is protein? Protein is when an animal has constructed amino acids to create the flesh and the structure of its body. The flesh and the structure of the body of an animal is called protein. And that's what happens when the amino acids have already been formed to make, for example, the wing of a chicken. Okay, that's a protein because the chicken or God or nature made the chicken out of amino acids. The chicken ate seeds and insects, got amino acids, and it created chicken. And that's called protein. You understand me so far? But protein is not a nutrient. The nutrient is amino acids. You don't want protein. You need amino acids because you're going to build human protein. Human protein is not the same as chicken protein. You don't want to be a chicken. You don't want to look like a cow. And so you don't. Even if you eat a cow, you won't look like a cow. Why? Because you're not going to use cow protein in its own form. You have to digest it. You ever heard of that? Digestion? Break it down into amino acids. And then amino acids, you build human protein from scratch. The idea that you need to eat other animals for protein is the idea that's telling you that you need to eat previously constructed protein for your protein. And if that's what they're saying, what do you think would be the best animal for you to eat? Thank you. You guys are smarter than me. I wouldn't have guessed that. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Because if you're looking for a certain kind of protein, then why wouldn't you just eat the one you're looking for? And it's a good thing because there's a sale right now at the morgue. A couple of really overweight people passed away last night. So it's like, it's a sale. It's like, 2 for 1. But imagine eating people. I mean, why is it so disgusting? Why does it make you like cringe? Because it's such a, again, violation of nature. But the idea that you should eat a cow is really an extension of the idea that you should just eat a person. The reason why it's so outrageous is it doesn't work that way. You need amino acids. You do not ever, ever, ever need to eat protein that was already constructed, because then you got to waste all your energy breaking it down so that you could try to build it back up. What's the point of that? Now, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say it more than once so that you get it. All amino acids are produced in the plant kingdom. Shall we say it again? All amino acids are produced in the plant kingdom. Period. So you want to talk about protein and you want to mention animals? It's because you don't understand the conversation. There is no relationship. Protein is amino acids. Amino acids are built in the plant. How do you think a mountain gorilla got its protein? How did an elephant get its protein? Elephants eat other elephants? They eat water buffalo? Elephants do? Or do they eat grass? And they get their amino acids and they build their protein from scratch. Oh, they're only the strongest animal on the planet. They can only knock a tree down eating plants. The mountain gorilla can bench press a truck eating fruit. Okay, so protein, you don't eat protein, you don't eat muscles. Protein and muscles, like protein for your muscles, what are you talking about? You can't eat muscles. Muscles comes from working out, comes from exercise. Because we're getting stronger, physically stronger. So you can't eat protein and get big muscles. If someone is eating protein powders, they are likely not to have a very long life. Okay, that is how you hurt yourself deep. The vegan ones are slightly better, of course, but the raw vegan ones are the best ones. The Sun Warriors, that's a raw vegan, but no protein powder is good. You never need it. The idea that you think you need it is, again, the marketing campaign that convinced you that you need protein. You don't need protein. Protein is the acid side of nature. The acid side of chemistry is protein. We are carbohydrate eaters. We are fruit eaters. We are primates. We're not protein eaters. The whole keto Atkins thing is the reason why everyone is getting sick and hurting themselves. It is pathetic. People trying to lose weight and compromising their health. That's not the best policy. The best policy is lose weight whilst getting healthier, not trying to lose weight because you think that's what healthier is. It's not ideal. Okay, so we can do what we need to do, but I personally think it's important that weight loss should be slow, should be done without any hurry, and it should be done getting healthier the whole time, not with protein. Protein powders are terrible. Someone using whey powder, I mean, these people need to, if you want to do them a favor, break into their house while they're not there and throw it away and down the toilet. But not down the toilet because it's illegal to flush that down the toilet because it will clog up the drains. That's why they made whey. Whey is the byproduct of the dairy industry, and they were not allowed to flush it into the sewage systems, so they turned it into a health food. They convinced everyone it was a health food. It's a waste byproduct of the dairy industry. That's the way to study it. Look at it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting stuff. They convince you it's a health food. They convince you of everything. You buy it all. Okay, well, stop buying it. Stop buying the stuff that's not true. Okay, all right, so protein is the opposite of what you want. Protein is cancer. Protein is acid. Protein is irritation, it's inflammation. It's the last thing you want. Less is more. Baby's milk, mother's milk, 2% protein. 2% for infants. Wouldn't you think an infant needs more protein than you? Yeah, you would be right. And what is mother's milk? It's about 2%. Shows you the relative importance of it. We are carbohydrate, we're primates. So we're fruit eaters mostly. Salads are great. Okay. The world of the cooked vegetables are fine. Okay. But not when you're healing. When you're trying to heal, that's fruit. When you want to heal something deep, that's fruit. That's my little world. Okay. So protein is easy to find. E3 Live has all the protein. Spirulina has all the protein. Walnuts and all these chia seeds have every amino acid. Avocado has every amino acid. Every essential amino acid, avocado has it. So they're everywhere. Okay. Never ever worry about protein. How many people have you met in the United States that are protein deficient? I'll tell you how many. 0. Because you want to know how many there are? 0. The only way you could be protein deficient is you're starving to death and you don't have enough calories to eat, to live. Because if you have enough calories, you are not protein deficient. It's impossible to be. The whole thing is a myth. The whole thing is to scare you. And it worked. Because if you look around, everything is packaged with how much protein it has. Trying to advertise that. And I'm sure that the suggestions have been laid in so deep to you guys that even as I criticize protein, you're probably saying, God damn it, I thought he was right. I thought he knew what he was talking about. And now he's attacking protein. So obviously he doesn't. Right? Isn't that some of you going, oh no, I thought he was an authority on this subject, but now he's attacking protein. He must not know what he's talking about. That's how deeply you've been brainwashed. Yeah.
You don't think about it.
Never. You don't have to think about it. No, just eat fruit. Eat fruit, eat spectrums of foods, eat spirulinas, eat blueberry nutties, and never think about this stuff. Okay? Yeah, just we're not here to think about food like its dosages. Okay? You know, that's more like intellectualism. Intellectualism doesn't bring health. You know? All right, Carla, can you sit here now and tell us? Oh, sure.
There's some circular, energetic motion. Everything goes in circles. And the idea of when you eat a fruit or you eat a vegetable, you're not just eating the fruit or the vegetable. You're eating the rain, the sun, the photosynthesis, all that beautiful, the rainbow, the whole connection with the cosmos is going to happen. So that's really what you're eating, and that's why it's so blessed. And also, the vegetables are an offering from God, because if you don't eat them, they're going to fall from the tree and they're going to rot, and they're beautiful and they're an offering of God. The same thing goes for the flower, for those of us that are very involved in oils or herbal tea. They were made for that, and nature made them, God made them for us to close that circle so that you can be part of that cosmic circle. So that's an element into
Yeah, I mean,
the beauty of books.
the Bible has a major mistranslation. If you are reading the Bible in English, any type of modern version, it says that human beings are given dominion over the earth. You know that word, that paragraph in Genesis? Humans are given dominion over the earth. That word dominion has been used to justify the slaughter of nature for a long time. But that's not the word in Hebrew. The word in Hebrew is nurturer, is caretaker. We were designed to be the caretaker of nature, not the dominator of nature. And that big mistranslation kind of creates a lot of issues for us.
And it changes the way that you feel in our here, who we eat it. We don't serve any dairies or any experience. And we always have people who immediately saying, "I did great in class today. I've never done so great." Like it's an immediate thing to stop it. It's not even it's not like a 3-day experience. You don't eat meat today, you might have little headaches maybe from
Well, we can talk about what what happens, once you start, just to address that quickly. Once you start eating differently, you are likely to get a cold or a flu or some sort of experience of mucus or like nose or something that you would have normally thought was you being sick. It's not you being sick, it's you being healthy. Okay? Because as you eat better, your body gets stronger. As your body gets stronger, it starts to shed off the toxicity. And when it does that, it uses mucus to do it, because mucus is the carrier for toxicity through the body. And then you could feel low energy, you could feel tired, you could feel on top of the world, but you could also have these waves of like, God, I feel really low energy. That's not a lack of protein. That is your body healing itself from you finally getting off the protein. Okay, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I've done enough to not have it only keep it in the middle of the day, like both ends of that. So I'm just curious, but now I've been eating more fruit this week, just for whatever.
Right, huh? Good. Yeah, of course. Sure. Well, our understanding of diabetes is that fruit is good for it and is curative of it. Not type 1 and type 2, of course, are different. Type 2 diabetes, which is insulin resistant, a lot of times the cause is protein, because the cells that are trying to absorb the insulin, their membranes are blocked, but they're blocked a lot of times from proteins. And so you can get the proteins out and then sometimes but fructose doesn't use insulin. This is what my teacher, Dr. Morris, is really very different about opinion. And I understand about this because we're fructose eaters, we're fruit eaters. You don't need to convert fructose into glucose when fructose is your primary food in the first place. So I do not see I see fruit, the more you eat, the better. Okay, now, maybe in certain situations that's not going to be indicated, but I don't necessarily see it. I see fruit usually going to be indicated for health, especially in pregnancy, personally, yeah. Go ahead.
the people you're representing for the.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these are the same doctors that are giving you advice as well that may not be ideal. They have their way of seeing things, but there are plant-based doctors that would probably have a different way of seeing it.
And gestational diabetes is different than type 1 or type 2. It occurs during pregnancy. It can occur to some people and some people it doesn't occur.
Yeah, so don't think it has anything to do with fruit. I would keep eating fruit to the degree that your body can tolerate it. Yes, everything is suggestion. Yeah.
Only give your kids one fruit serving a day, never start the day with fruit, only start the day. with
Do you get that information? Is that what they tell you? Well, orange juice from the refrigerated section, fresh orange juice is very good. Yes. No, because again, are you ready to talk about sugar? Okay, let's talk about sugar. Oh, good, please. Oh yeah, please. Yeah, no, they were just firing questions. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Carla's gonna speak for a minute and then we'll go with all of your.
Whoever has questions for Fred, and they will.
We can do more questions tomorrow. We're not in a hurry. Monday. You want, we can organize it.
So anyways, I'm really struggling with a terrible headache, and it's probably from being 5 days detoxing. So I'm like sitting here detoxing in front of all of you. So I just wanted you to know that. But you can imagine, after hearing what you just heard, that in my own personal life, it sent me into a major spiral. Most of my life, I was obese as a child, like from 1 year old to 28 years old. And struggled with food. I didn't even have a nice relationship with food. It was just like kind of, I was made fun of. I was shamed most of my life, by my father, who, put us on a scale at 10 years old. I went to Weight Watchers camps to try to, when I was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Hid food, stole food. I mean, went to the next door neighbors, and that is the truth. So at about 28 years old, I developed diabetes. Yes, about maybe 26. And it was onset from the food. I was very defiant. The worst things on the menu, that's what I ordered. That's what I saw in my house, and I would indulge and engage. And then it was always left feeling terrible, 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 terrible. So that went on for years and years. It was suggested to me to have this gastric bypass surgery. And I went to a meeting and I saw 400 pounders, 600 pounders, like normal people. And I said, if they can do it, I can do it. My doctor had already 1,000 patients. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I was on my way to amputation, loss of eyesight, on and on and on. 250. I'm currently 158, to be perfectly honest. But I've gone down to 150 to 140. And at my lowest, it was great. But my body over the last 17 years has fallen into this 155. If I'm sick, I lose the 5 pounds, then but pretty much very stable, not 30 pounds up, 20 pounds down, 50 pounds up, like that at all. So when I had the surgery, right away, nothing changed. I kept on eating smaller portions, but still Happy Meals and, you know, McDonald's. I mean, I was a big fan of McDonald's, Burger King more, all through high school. And I could say that it's been almost 18 years that I don't touch any fast food of any sort. Fast forward, I start losing my weight. I'm 6 months into it, still eating the same way, the programming, the whole thing. And I say, I'm going to go to a yoga class. I walk into Fred's class that day. You want to talk about God? I walked into the class. He was drinking a Zephyr Hills bottle that was green. I walked up to him. I don't know what this force, this energy, the universe. Fred, sir, I said to him, I said, can that help me? You know, what are you drinking? I asked him first. He said, blue-green algae. I said, well, can that help me like continue to lose weight and, you know, get me off of antidepressants? I was chronically filled with anxiety all my whole life. It's a longer story. My mother lost her first child in utero. You know, I was exposed to her fears and, you know, and life and their fears of losing a child. And, you know, that had a big influence on everything. So Fred says, yes, that day I ordered it. It came from Oregon, this blue-green algae, frozen, started drinking it. And I was like, wow, my brain, I didn't know what plant-based was. I didn't know what veganism was, or being vegan or non-dairy or any of this. That came later. And, you know, it started changing my lifestyle, not my life, not another diet, my lifestyle. Started with the E3 Live. Then after that, Fred offered a 5-day juice cleanse, just juices, green juices, maybe with some fruit smoothies, which was, you know, able, you know, for the 5 days to get through it. And I did a 5-day juice cleanse. And meanwhile, my friends, my family, the community, what are you drinking there? What horrible green, I'll never do it. I'll never do it. So I said, but I was getting better. I was getting better. I was getting healthier. I was getting more vibrant. And after the juice cleanse, he offered a 30-day living foods. That same food talk that you just heard is what propelled me to make the connection about dairy and plant-based living and, you know, how my mind was feeling paired up with movement. So it's not just one thing. The talk about the meat. It was not only how it putrefies in your body and next to your ovaries for 48 hours, and, you know, for males next to their prostate for 48 hours, and in breaking it, very different than a vegetable. I brought all that in, and I did his 30-day detox with living foods. But this was no gourmet Plant Miami. This was a organic, 2 salads a day, 1 with tahini dressing, 1 with olive oil, and he permitted us some nut and seed bars called lar bars. That was it for 30 days. No fruit of any kind, nothing, no nuts and seeds. Yeah, it would have made sense that it would have been permitted, but this is how it was. And it wasn't just about the program, it was about the discipline. It was about the commitment to, you know, to go through the 30 days, just kind of like this, you know, teacher training. And I felt amazing. I felt energized. I felt like I had never felt in my entire life. And I just started from that point on educating myself on a holistic lifestyle, meaning no medications, you know, plant-based foods, like really what was that? You know, anything that pretty much, you know, was from a tree. and went to retreats, went to all sorts of studies, started meeting all these teachers and healers and shamans, and I learned about all of the things that could help me, really, thrive. Fast forward, I lost I lost all of my weight, pretty much almost 100 pounds. And then after that, I decided I wanted to have a baby. And I was already 40 years old. I was an event designer, doing very high-end, high pressured launches and parties and mitzvahs and weddings, and the anxiety was at an all-time high, but kind of it was a push-pull. The food was kind of like my medicine. The more I was learning, the essential oils were my like, I'm sitting here with a terrible headache. I'm not taking 2 Tylenol. I'm using my essential oils. And that's how I've taught my children, and my child, and the next one is going to learn that way as well. And to this day, I don't take Tylenol. I don't take anything. I'm very clear, as clear as he is, about the system and what's in place here, but that's for another show. There's a lot of, promotion, and that whole journey set me off on creating the sacred space. I wanted a place where I could share all of these teachers and all of this information, and that's why I in 2009, it was my event production offices, and I said, I'm going to create a sacred space, a safe space for people to come and be able to receive this information if they wanted it. And I said, well, food is such a big part of it. I want a food component here. So I opened a plant-based restaurant. And before that, we had like dinners here. And I remember, a good friend of mine, his first dinner was here. He went on to open juice bars all over Miami. And when people would tell me, I'm never going to drink a green juice, and all of a sudden everybody started drinking green juices. So that was a good move. Everybody told me, vegan food, who's going to come to a vegan restaurant? Who wants that? I said, well, I don't know. I want that. And I want that for my friends, and I want that for my community. And if that's all that shows up, it's really, this lifestyle is for those who want it more than anything, who make it priority. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect by any means. I have slipped into, along the way, into, a little bit of cheese. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was pregnant, it was another suggestion, but I started also building a team, so that, I didn't do this by myself. I had my yoga instructor. I had my nutritionist. This was more than anything. I had my functional doctor. So we have these discussions, and this is how I also learned, going to see all of those people and hearing all of their perspectives. And, to this day, just yesterday, I was at, my regenerative doctor, and now it's about, anti-aging. But the bottom line is, it comes back to the food, the food. I've done fruits only. I have done, but the majority of my food is plant-based, for the most part, if not 100%. And also I have an organic farm. In the midst of all of this, 5 years ago, I purchased a farm and homestead of a woman who had been the first to do dinners in paradise, and start educating Miami with the best chefs, on what I call now farm to fork, or farm to chef, personal chef. And we're into regenerating the land. And we're still certified organic growers. And, you know, my mission now is to bring, you know, educate people on how to grow their own food, but also how to become members of, you know, a share, which every week you get your harvest for 24 weeks. The point is, my store is a non-toxic. We vet every single product, but we also vet every single founder and their stories as to why they created the deodorant, why they created, you know, the ingredients in a lot of the products that we have are minimal, like, you know, I mean, my wife, you know, scours and makes sure that there's no parabens and all these chemicals and all this stuff, you know, and that's the product's philosophy as well. So, you know, we've created, and what I've tried to create is the entire lifestyle. So it's not just the food, to me, that's the most important, but it's also your movement, your products, your mind, and where does your food come from? Supporting local, understanding who your farmer is and what their philosophies are. And what that creates is community. And without community and without each other, we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. So it's not just one thing or the other, it's the whole lifestyle. And that really is, you know, the lifestyle is the space within you. And you are the only one that has that sacred place. And we all have it. So it's just a matter of, you know, learning and cultivating, and that's just a little bit about my story and why we're here and what we're committed to. And I mean, you know, a lot of people that have been through here for whatever, you know, whether they came to plant, they got an experience. Whether they come to a retreat, they got an experience. Whether they come down to the farm, we're all about creating that experience, because that is the experience that I got that propelled me to change my life. No, not change my life, save my life. Because if I would have continued like that, and the force of the universe did not get me into that class and did not have me do that surgery, you see how everything like kind of like connected for me, I wouldn't be here. I was very sick, not a little bit of sick. And let me tell you something, no money in the world, nobody else could do it for me, you know, and that is the real magic. And we have the power within us to transform. And I will put my hands in the oven for anybody who is committed to that. You know, you can heal yourself, and you can do it naturally, despite all the noise and the influences that are around you. I'm a mini.
You're the genius.
Twin sister.
Thanks for listening.
What's our timeline? Are we done? Two. All right, so we'll do more questions on the next time that we meet together. We'll continue, we'll deal with sugar and all that stuff, don't worry. Tofu's all right, it's okay, it's not ideal, but it's, yeah, it's okay. Tofu is okay, tofu is better than soy milk. Soy milk is not as good.
Well, I also think that depending how old you are, you know, like I wouldn't give tofu to a 13-year-old girl, and I wouldn't give it to a childbearing age. Huh? Not for children, not for little kids. You know,